Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're not just looking at a topic, we are really setting out on a practical mission. It's about fundamentally changing your relationship with your own mind. We're diving into what some sources call the silent invisible prison. I'm talking about that relentless cycle of worry, of analysis, of fear, the one built brick by brick with all those what ifs. We are talking, of course, about overthinking. If you feel like your brain is a 24/7 debate club that's constantly rehearsing for a catastrophe or replaying old mistakes, then this deep dive is, well, it's for you. Our goal is pretty simple. We want to help you silence that noise so you can move from just existing inside your own thoughts to actually living your life.
And to even start that journey, we have to make a really critical distinction because overthinking, it's sneaky. It doesn't present itself as a problem.
What do you mean? How does it show up?
It disguises itself as being thorough, as meticulous planning or even as some kind of intellectual strength, but it's not. It's actually a deeply destructive and paralyzing habit.
Okay, let's unpack that. What is it not? Where is that line between careful prep and just spiraling?
The line is all about the outcome. Planning is forward moving. It leads to an action. It has a clear endpoint where you can say, okay, I've done enough. Now I'm going to act.
Got it.
Overthinking, on the other hand, is an endless loop. It's analyzing the decision, then analyzing your analysis, and then worrying about the consequences of that analysis. It's almost designed to postpone action. It leads directly to paralysis.
So it feels like you're doing something, but you're actually just running in place. Why do we let ourselves get caught in that?
It's because of what the sources call the great illusion. This is the deep but completely false belief that worrying is a form of protection.
The idea that if I think about it hard enough, I can prevent the bad thing from happening.
Exactly. You believe that if you worry about a problem long enough, hard enough, from every possible angle, you can somehow control the outcome and, guarantee you'll be safe. It feels productive, but it's really a trap.
That puts the cost of it into really sharp focus. So let's transition to that, because this isn't just a mental thing, is it? It has a real physical impact.
Not at all. And the neurobiology here is fascinating. Our brains evolved to be these magnificent prediction machines.
Right. Looking for the tiger in the bushes?
Precisely. Scanning for physical threats. But in the modern world, for most of us, there is no tiger. So the brain, with all that incredible predictive power, it turns that power inward.
It starts chasing itself.
It does. It manufactures these worst-case scenarios about your job, your relationship, your health. And it treats these purely hypothetical thoughts as if they are immediate, real-world dangers.
So even if the stressor is just an idea, the body reacts like it's real.
Absolutely real. Those hypotheticals trigger a full physiological stress response. Your system gets flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. You are physically feeling the effects of being chased, but the chaser is just your own internal monologue.
And what's the long-term cost of being in that constant low-grade fight-or-flight state?
The cost is huge. It leads to physical exhaustion, chronic fatigue, poor focus. And it systematically drains the joy out of your life. It just prevents presence and connection. You can't experience joy when your mind is fighting battles in a future that doesn't even exist.
It's amazing how our own minds can create that much misery. Okay, let's get to the source. We can't fix it until we know what's driving it. And the sources organize the causes into 3 core fears or habits. The first one feels foundational. You touched on it earlier. The fear of failure, or maybe more accurately, the fear of judgment.
Yes, this is huge for perfectionists. The core belief isn't just that a mistake is bad. It's that a mistake says something about your fundamental worth as a person. So the stakes feel impossibly high.
So every email, every conversation has to be perfect, because if it's flawed, you think you'll be exposed as what? Incompetent.
As incompetent, as unworthy, yes. They're terrified of that exposure.
Hold on, is that just low self-esteem then? Or is there a specific link to overthinking?
That's a great question. Low self-esteem often leads to withdrawal. But in this case, the fear leads to obsessive rehearsal. They spend so much time internally editing and replaying scenarios because they're desperately trying to prove their worth. It's a very active but totally exhausting strategy.
So the solution here has to be about redefining failure, taking those massive stakes off the table.
Exactly. You have to reframe it. Failure is not an identity. It is just information. It's data.
Become a scientist, not a victim.
That's the perfect way to put it. You become a scientist who collects data from an experiment that didn't work. The emotional sting starts to fade because it's not about you anymore. It's about the result. That's how you unlock the perfectionism trap.
Scientist, not victim. I like that. Okay, our second core cause is something I think a lot of us can relate to. the need for absolute control.
This is the mind's desperate attempt to find a blueprint for life that just eliminates all risk and all uncertainty.
Which is impossible.
Completely impossible. And it creates this paradox where the more you try to control external things, the future, what other people think of you, the more out of control and anxious you feel on the inside.
I know people who do this with vacation planning. They spend weeks trying to account for every single variable, every possibility, until the planning is more stressful than the trip itself.
That is the perfect illustration. They're trying to build a plan that removes any chance of discomfort, which means they're wasting energy on things they just can't influence.
So the path to peace here is about surrender. Not giving up, but surrendering the illusion of control.
Correct. You have to learn to distinguish between what you can control, your effort, your attitude, your next small choice, and what you can't. And that's pretty much everything else. True peace comes from embracing adaptability over a rigid, perfect plan.
And our third root cause. This is the one that really drains your energy in the present moment. Past rumination. This is overthinking turned backward.
It's the ultimate energy trap, right? We just replay old mistakes, old embarrassments, conversations, often when we're trying to fall asleep.
I've definitely spent hours replaying something dumb I said in a meeting 3 years ago.
We all have. And we do it hoping that if we just analyze it enough, we can find the perfect lesson or think of the perfect comeback and somehow retroactively fix it. But the past is, well, it's unchangeable. It's a done deal.
So what's the practical shift here? How do you make the past serve you instead of torment you?
You have to change the question. Stop asking the painful question, why did I do that? And instead, ask a forward-looking one. What did I learn, and what small, concrete action will I take today to apply that lesson?
So instead of beating yourself up over a rude text you sent, you do what?
You decide, okay, today I'm going to practice pausing for 5 seconds before I reply to any difficult message. That simple shift takes the past from being a source of pain and turns it into a source of power. It grounds you in right now, which is the only place you can actually change anything.
Okay, so this brings us to the action plan, the practical prescription. Let's talk about the tools, the circuit breakers. I imagine they take practice.
They do require repetition, but they are incredibly powerful. We've got 6 of them, and the first one is maybe the simplest, but the most effective. The rule of immediate action. Some people call it the 5-second rule.
Okay, walk me through it. Sounds simple.
The mechanism is all about the mind-body connection. Overthinking usually happens when you're physically still. Your mind is racing, but your body is frozen.
Right.
So the rule is, the moment you catch yourself spiraling over a small, doable task like writing an email, washing a dish, you have to physically move within 5 seconds. You count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you move.
You just don't give your brain time to talk you out of it.
Exactly. Physical movement instantly disrupts that cognitive loop. It pulls your mind out of the abstract world of what if and slams it back into concrete reality. It's a physical override switch.
I love that. Interrupt the thought by engaging the body. Okay, tool number 2, externalizing the thought. The idea here is that overthinking gets its power from being this chaotic, undefined mess inside your head.
Right. It feels massive and scary because it's shapeless. So we need to pull it out into the light. You either write it down or you voice record it. The entire unedited stream of consciousness spiral, just dump it all out.
Don't pretty it up. Just the raw chaos.
The raw chaos. I'm going to lose my job, then I'll be homeless, and everyone will abandon me. Get it all out.
And what happens when you see that mess on paper?
It changes. That massive internal threat becomes a finite external object. It's just a few sentences on a page. You can look at it, read it, and often you can see how absurd it is. The perceived scale just shrinks dramatically.
And once it's external, we can use tool number 3, which is a way to inject some logic back in. This is the what if, so what protocol.
This is such a powerful exercise. You take the worry and you follow it relentlessly to its absolute worst case, but still realistic conclusion.
Okay, let's try one. The worry is, what if I completely bomb this presentation next week?
Okay, so what?
So what? Well, I'll be really embarrassed. And my boss might think I'm incompetent.
So what if your boss thinks that? What's the tangible outcome?
Well, maybe I get put on a performance plan. Or I don't get that promotion.
And so what if you don't get the promotion?
Then I'd be stuck in my role and maybe I'd have to start looking for another job.
And there it is. You see? The process forces you to realize the abyss you're so afraid of is never actually an abyss. It's just a difficult, manageable next step. A problem to be solved. It strips the catastrophe of its power.
That brings us to tool number 4, anchoring in the present. We've established that overthinking is mental time travel, so the antidote has to be radical presence.
Exactly. You need an urgent relocation device for your mind. The moment you feel that spiral starting, you immediately engage your 5 senses. This is the classic 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique.
So you literally just name things around you.
You do. Name 5 things you can see right now, 4 things you can physically touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This is an urgent, forced focus on tangible reality.
It grounds you instantly because you can't be worrying about some abstract future if you're focused on the texture of your desk.
Right. Abstract thought can't coexist with that kind of specific sensory detail. It pulls your brain out of the chaotic what-if landscape and anchors it to the immediate physical moment, which is the only place life is actually happening.
Okay, tool number 5 accepts that we can't just eliminate worry, so instead we confine it. This is time boxing worry.
Right. Trying to just stop thinking is impossible. It actually makes it worse. So instead, you give your overthinking an appointment, a specific non-negotiable window, say 15 minutes every evening at 6 o'clock. That's your worry time.
So what happens during the rest of the day when a worry pops up?
You don't fight it. You acknowledge it. You respectfully write it down on a list, and you promise your brain, got it. Thank you. We will deal with this fully at 6 p.m.
And what happens when you finally get to that appointment?
2 things. First, just knowing it will be addressed often diffuses the urgency during the day. And second, when you actually review the list, half the worries seem ridiculous or have already sorted themselves out. Then, after 15 minutes, the timer goes off. You close the book. The session is over. Non-negotiable.
That's brilliant. Okay, our final tool is maybe the most profound. It's about changing the fundamental relationship we have with our thoughts. This is mindfulness and meditation.
But redefined. This is not about clearing your mind. That's a huge misconception. It's about observing your mind. It's about creating distance between you, the thinker, and the thought itself.
What does that look like in practice?
You have to realize that a thought is just a neurological event. It's a bit of electrical activity, that's all.
So it's not truth.
It's not truth.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it this way. Your mind is the street you live on. Thoughts are just cars driving past your house. When a thought like, you should have said something smarter, drives by, you don't have to run out and chase the car down the street.
You just notice it. Oh, there's the anxiety car again.
Exactly. You observe it, you acknowledge it, and you let it pass. And you gently bring your attention back to your anchor, which is usually your breath.
And every time you do that, every time you redirect your attention back, you're building a muscle.
You're strengthening the muscle of presence. Over time, you create this peaceful buffer zone between a thought and your reaction to it. And in that little space, that's where your freedom lies.
This has been an incredible deep dive. To wrap this up, it feels like stopping overthinking isn't one single event. It's more of a fundamental shift in identity, isn't it? Moving from being a hostage of your mind to its gentle guardian.
That's it, exactly. And it requires courage, the courage to make a decision that is just good enough instead of chasing this impossible idea of perfection that only exists in your head.
Because in the moment you choose to act, even imperfectly, you're sending a signal to your brain.
A powerful signal. You're telling it. The thinking is over. The living has begun.
And that's the ultimate takeaway.
It is. This is your life. It's messy and it's uncertain and it is beautiful because you can't control it all. So don't waste another moment watching it from the sidelines of your own consciousness. Step into the arena, acknowledge the uncertainty, and just move. That is the ultimate antidote.